La 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 la. Hello, welcome to the Heart of Markness, episode 25, 25 of my Led Zeppelin Jimmy Page podcast. Thanks for popping by, and let's get happen. So today the topic is going to be the Valentine's Day 1975 show in Uniondale, New York, on February 14th, 1975. They also played the 13th. I think they played Nassau Coliseum the night before. And Ronnie Wood of the Faces at that time, soon to be of the Rolling Stones, got up on stage and jammed with Zeppelin on Communication Breakdown. I was going to throw it on this podcast, but I've already got 3 songs to play for you, and they're from 1975, so they're a little long. So I will save that Ronnie Wood one for probably another Odds and Sods episode or another Hey Cool Jams or something. You'll hear it. Fear not, little one. So here we are is a 1975 tour, a Physical Graffiti tour. This is Valentine's Day, as Robert mentioned several times in the show. He alludes to the fact that the boys are so desiccated and spent from celebrating the rites of St. Valentine with various groupies that they could hardly make it to the stage. But they somehow managed, and the fact of the matter is all of them were still in their 20s except for Jimmy, who was only 31. And they just act like, oh, we can hardly do it. We can hardly go on. But they were partying pretty hard. And the 75 tour kind of shows that. Not as much as 77, which is just pretty much just wasted. They're wasted all the time. And you can hear it. 75, Jimmy is still fluid, which is something that's kind of lacking in 77, 79, and 80. It is his just fluidity is the word when he plays. And in 75 it kind of lapsed a little because he was drinking more. He was doing Mandrax or Valium, which, I mean, if you're a musician and you've ever messed with Valium, it is by far, at least for me, it is by far the most debilitating drug that I could take. I mean, even being hammered, well, not hammered, but even tipsy, to be the equal amount intoxicated on Valium makes. I don't know if you've seen Family Guy. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen Family Guy, but there's an episode where Peter is a piano prodigy when he's drunk, and Lois, his wife, being a piano teacher, keeps him drunk so that he'll win the what do they call it? La 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 recital. There we go. Sorry. So he gets drunk and he sits down to play, and he plays the Mary Tyler Moore theme, but it sounds terrible because he's one key off on everything. And Lois comes out and moves him one key, and suddenly he's beautiful. Playing that one key off is kind of how playing on Valium is, at least for me, and I can hear the same thing when Jimmy's awful. I hear that. I mean, it's like lots and lots of musicians did heroin, and lots of musicians were still good. So it's not just the heroin. I mean, it's not the heroin, but the biggest contributor, I think, was the booze and the Valium. The booze definitely too, for fucking up Jimmy's, and of course breaking his finger just before the start of this tour, which he did. He broke the tippy tip of his left ring finger, which is the one you use to bend the strings, just before the tour started. Or maybe even like on the way to the first gig or something. Really, really soon before the tour started. I believe it was in a subway door. And, he did not rehab it. He did not take care of it. He did not, just like when he broke his finger. I think he broke his finger in 73. Same kind of thing, except it was caught in a chain link fence. He did not rehab it. He took care of his hands the way that Robert took care of his voice. And we all know what happened to Robert's voice. And we all know what happened to Jimmy's hands. So he's playing with a broken finger. At the beginning of this tour, they didn't even play Dazed and Confused. They did play some cool shit like the Wanton song. They played How Many More Times for the only time during the 75 tour. And I think they only played it a couple times on the 73 tour in England. So they played When the Levee Breaks. And I mean, I would love to hear that. And there are there's a sweep of soundboard tapes from 1975 that have been coming out over the last few years. Or maybe they've already all come out. But there was a beautiful period of time when every few months there would be another soundboard tape from the 75 tour. And unfortunately, none of the early ones with When the Levee Breaks or Wanton Song or How Many More Times have come out in soundboard form. They're out in audience recordings, and some of them are okay, but not okay enough to listen to, and definitely not okay enough for the podcast. So, we won't be hearing those. Anywho, going back out of the weeds, back onto the road, let's get going. Here we are, February 14th, very, very cold, very, very 1975. I'm going to play 3 songs for you from this show. Excellent. This is the Graeme's remaster of the Empress Valley soundboard release, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So I will post this on heartofmarkness.com. You can get the whole damn show, because I love you. But for now, we're going to listen to the 3 songs from it. First one's going to be Over the Hills and Far Away. And I'm playing this because I fucking love this song and this version of this song, this performance. Bonzo's drumming is so smooth and so cool and laid back, unbelievably laid back. He and Jonesy. It's almost the visual image I have when I listen to this, to Bonzo playing on this song, is him driving like a Cadillac convertible, something classy, not a sports car, but like a Cadillac convertible, a cruiser. You know, in his leather jacket, top down, one hand on the wheel, other hand on the door jamb, just leaned way back, just cruising down the highway. That's what this song feels like. It is just funky and it's great. And you know, I don't even listen to Jimmy's solo. I don't. His Over the Hills and Far Away solos don't really impress me much. Well, not impress me. That's a shitty word. Of course they impress me. He's Jimmy Page. They don't really capture me much. During the solos, I tend to shift over to Bonzo. In fact, for this whole song, I tend to listen to Bonzo and Jonesy because they are so locked in and tight and so good. And I hope you will too. So let's give a listen to Over the Hills and Far Away. Heart of Markness. Enjoy.
Lady, you got the love I need. Maybe more than enough. Oh, darling, 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 walk a while with me. Oh, you got so much, and I really need so much. I have to have so much. Many times We came here in a state of... Jimmy managed to get to sleep at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And he was up again at 4:30. So we didn't really know whether we'd even got the strength to walk on the stage. But we have, and it's feeling good. We spent a few hours with St. Valentine last night, you see. Now, along with the material that you're familiar with already, we'd like to play you some of the stuff from Physical Graffiti, an LP which is, as usual, late. It happens to be on a label called Swan Song, and that's why it's late.
Ha ha ha. Robert, you are so funny. Wasn't that good? You see what I mean about, Bonzo just being crazy intense, but just leaning back and grooving? I loved it, and I love Jonesy's bass on that too. Super, super good. And they're having fun. They're having fun, and they're still connecting to the audience. And it's great. It makes me happy, 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 happy. And I hope it makes you happy too. So, let's carry this happiness on to one of the tracks from Physical Graffiti, as Robert mentioned. Now, this is the 14th of February, and Physical Graffiti had not been released yet. It was released in America on February 24th. So it's still 10 days out, although people had heard songs, especially in the New York area, had heard songs like Kashmir and Trampled Underfoot, and probably somebody at some point had played a promo copy of the album by this point. Who knows? But people had heard tracks from the album, but not the entire album, and it wasn't out yet, and nobody saw yet how cool it looked with the die-cut cover of the Tenements in St. Mark's Place, and great fucking album design, and just a great album. So we're going to listen to Trampled Underfoot, and I think this is now my new favorite performance of Trampled Underfoot, my previous being Zurich 1980, June 29th. This is just fun and tight, and Jimmy plays some really cool shit, and Bonzo, of course, plays some really cool shit, and they are locked in tight. This is the funkiest tour of Led Zeppelin. They got into some really, really, really great little funk jams, with Jimmy actually being the weakest leg of the pyramid, of the tripod in those jams. That's not saying he was bad. He absolutely wasn't. It's saying that Bonzo and Jonesy are just that good and that locked in. Anywho, Trampled Underfoot. This is the first time a lot of people in that audience are hearing that song. And nobody owns it yet. It's brand new, and Zeppelin fucking kills it. So let's listen to Trampled Underfoot, everybody. Thank you.
Transmission, hot, you on the slow. Oh, fuck again.
As the chorus goes, I can't stop talking about. I can't stop talking about. I can't stop thinking about. Well, said Arthur, what can you do? I can think.
So, there's a Siddhartha joke for you Herman Hesse fans. That was pretty funny. It fell a little flat, but it's a decent joke. Trampled Underfoot kicked ass, did it not? Oh, and something I wanted to mention from Over the Hills and Far Away. Kinda in the middle of Jimmy's solo, there was a period where John Bonham just goes fucking bonkers while still staying in the pocket and just being in that groove. And he does some cool snare stuff, and he does just a little fusillade of hi-hat opens, and it's just so tight. He was so good. And, he and Jonesy are really the reason Zeppelin was so awesome, because it's a great backdrop for Jimmy and Robert to play, with. And it's just, so good. I love this band. Okay, well, we're at a half an hour now, and I still have one more song to play for you. And, yes, I am going to play it for you. Sure, fuck it. It's the Rain song. And you're like, Mark, why are you playing the fucking Rain song? They did 100 other songs like Dazed and Confused. They did Kashmir. They did In My Time of Dying. I know what they did. I have the goddamn bootleg. I don't want to play those. Those are even longer. Jesus Christ. If we play Dazed and Confused, you can put your kids through college. We will have colonized the moon. Our children's children will hear the end of this podcast. But the Rain song, first of all, it's a beautiful song. Shut up. It is. It's just gorgeous. And it is played impeccably. And, Zeppelin always kind of nailed this song. It must be pretty easy for Jimmy to play even when he's wasted, even though it's so pretty. Here, it's just, almost perfect. And Jimmy puts little filigrees in, and it's beautiful. And one of the reasons why this may be my favorite performance of the Rain song, at least for now, is the tightness of the band. Even though it's a quiet song with Jonesy and Jimmy just playing together through most of it, even, Jonesy and Jimmy are so locked in together that the instant that Jonesy plays, switches chords on the mellotron or hits a different bass pedal, Jimmy is there with the double neck. And the absolute precision with which the song is performed and how tight they are together makes it a million times better for me. I mean, they were great anyways. They were just on it, but just this performance in particular. And Robert gets into some pretty sweet falsetto in this song. And it's cheesy and it's hippie kind of, but it's also, it's just beautiful. It just is. Jimmy's guitar is beautiful. The alternate tuning and the chords he's playing are just remarkably lush and gorgeous. And he adds some really nice touches. There's a lot of emotion in this. So, let's get to it so I can go to bed because it's 10 p.m. The Rain song, everybody. Here you go. Oh, February 14th. It's the same concert. I'm not going to switch it out. Here you go. Bye-bye.
It is the springtime of my loving, the second season, and to know you are the sunlight in my growing, so little warmth I felt before. It isn't hard to feel me glowing. Can you feel it now? I watched the fire that grew so low. smiles flee from me, keepers of the glue. Speak to me only with your eyes. Oh, it is to you I give this tune. Clear to all from time to time. Oh, so clear.
it's majestic. They pull it off, and the stuff with Bonzo on the timpani, as he's pedaling the timpani, raising and lowering the pitch, it works, and it works because the timing is impeccable. He is raising the pitch at the exact same tempo and exact same speed as Jimmy is raising it, just for that quarter second. It's completely in sync, and it just homogenizes the music and makes it one. And it's just a beautiful song. Jimmy's guitar tone is great. His little filigrees are great. Robert's falsetto, the whole thing. The mellotron's in tune. And the keyboard that Jonesy's playing is called a mellotron. And it's not a synthesizer. It's actually an electric keyboard with... I don't know if it has 88 keys like a piano. Let's say it does. With 88 little tape loops that are triggered by the 88 keys. So instead of having a synthesizer going, oh, you want it to sound like a saxophone? Bwah. It's the mellotron would have tapes, little loops spinning, that if you pressed let's say you pressed middle C, and it would, instead of synthesizing just out of nothing and extrapolating the waveform and going bwah, it would play the tape of a saxophone, or, if it was a saxophone mellotron or strings or whatever, playing middle C. So it'd be bop, but it would be a tape recording. So there's a very, very slight delay in triggering the sound, and it's also, I think, pretty hard to have it in tune all the time, because you have to have 88, let's say, I'm sure it's not 88, but 88 tape loops, all synced, all at the right pitch. I mean, perfectly in tune with each other. And then having to deal with the vagaries of being moved around in a truck and thumped around and packed up on stage and thumped. And then under the stage lights where it goes, it was February in New York, so that day they may have gone from 25 degrees Fahrenheit to, under the stage lights, 80 degrees. And it's tape. It goes shrinky, shrinky, growy, growy. And as it does that, the pitch changes. So just the fact that they can have that thing optimized and tuned and have it sound great, and just this performance of these guys with all those variables coming together perfectly. I love this. I mean, it's the Rain song. It's a beautiful song, and I love this particular performance. It touches my heart, as do you, dear listener. So, thank you for listening to The Heart of Markness. 25 episodes. It's kind of a mini milestone, right? 25. It's noteworthy. I shall celebrate it. And I think it's been something like 16 episodes in 16 weeks. I have not let you down for, what is 16 weeks? Why, that's 4 months, which is a third of a year. Another milestone. Yay. See, you can trust me again. Daddy won't leave. So, thank you. And if you aren't already following me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter if you're on Twitter. It's at Heart of Markness. If you're on Facebook, which you probably are because you're probably middle-aged, join the Heart of Markness group on Facebook. We can get some stuff going. And if you're in the Heart of Markness group and you're listening to this, feel free to throw some stuff out there. There's like 30 of us just sitting there, and I don't post every day. So if you want to put something out there like, hey, what's your favorite, how many more times, or something, put it up there. People will answer. I'll answer. And we'll get some stuff going. Feel free to make your own posts, as long as it's not, selling essential oils or, fascism or just some awful other shit that Facebook is full of. So just keep it Zepp-related and go nuts, kind of. And I'm also on heartofmarkness.com. And if you go to the site, you will notice that I have started fulfilling my promise of having the content up there with maybe a picture of the show, the podcast embedded, as well as a download link to download the whole show. I've got the last couple up there, and I'm going to be doing it from now on, and going back and retrofitting the other posts for the older shows. So that's all good news. So probably tomorrow I will have my website updated with the link for the show and etc. But otherwise, you're listening to it now. And if you are of a mind, take a moment and leave a review on whatever podcast platform you're hearing me from on. If it's Podbean, leave a review. If it's iTunes, well, whatever it is. If the sounds are emanating from your dead grandma's skull because you're doing some horrible necromantic rite because you're too cheap to pay for Wi-Fi, leave a review there. It helps. I'm starting to show up in search results on iTunes. I typed in Led Zeppelin, and way down at the bottom, my podcast showed up. And that's great. I'm happy to be way down at the bottom because I wasn't anywhere for a long time. And that's all because of you. Enough of you left a review and left the stars or a text review or both, that the algorithm picked me up and said, hey, apparently this fuckhead has some amount of relevance for the term Led Zeppelin. So when people throw it in, boom, I'll pop up eventually. And it'll only go up the more you guys leave reviews. My power will grow. And my will be fulfilled. But until that day, that dark, dark day, I will still need your help. So if you're of a mind to, you're feeling magnanimous, leave a review. And it helps out. So thank you for listening. Next week, I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't know what I'm going to do. There's some stuff I'd like to do that I can't find the right recordings for. I really want to do Jimmy Page and Roy Harper, the Valentine's Day concert the year before in 1974. Roy Harper did a concert and had, I think he called the band the Intergalactic Elephant Band. It was Roy Harper, Jimmy Page, Ronnie Lane on bass, and Keith Moon on drums. And both Robert Plant and John Bonham were MCs for the show. It was amazing. It's all Roy Harper songs. And, if you don't like Roy Harper, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. But it's really good. And it's released on one of Roy's albums called Flashes from the Archives of Oblivion. But that's a hard one to get hold of, kind of. And I can't play released content on the podcast or I'll go to the pokey forever. So I found an audience recording of the show and I was like, yay, but it sounds like garbage. It sounds like, clandestine radio recordings from, the resistance in occupied territory. Not even worth. So anyways, I'm trying to find things to play for next week and that fell through. Blah, blah, blah. I'm a rambler tonight. So, but I'll come up with something. Maybe something out of left field, or maybe I'll stick with Zeppelin for a little while, because y'all seem to like it. And who doesn't like Led Zeppelin? Bad people. Bad people. That's who. And since you're not a bad person, I will wish you a good night, because it is now 10:30, and I am going to bed, because I'm old. Thank you for listening. Talk to you next week. See you later.